When I started bodybuilding, I struggled with hunger. While some people figure out how to lift within a week, they're eating 5 meals of chicken, broccoli, rice. I found it much harder. Much harder to maintain that kind of strict lifestyle. For me and for many others, especially beginners trying to follow a rigid eating pattern like that, would have led to burnout right away. Now, the key takeaway here is to focus on the basics. Eating protein, consuming enough calories, and lifting consistently, and having relatively healthy foods. This is about 85% of your progress. And when you're ready to go the extra mile, that's when you can kick it up a notch, but don't jump into that too quickly. What's up, guys? John here, and it turns out I wasn't wrong about everything. When I first started lifting at age 14, yes, and that matters, I had no idea what I was doing, but over the years I picked up some valuable lessons, some of which I'm going to share with you guys here today. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced lifter, this video is for you. So for advanced lifters, first, you have the opportunity to teach others. You might be able to pass on some lessons and help someone else, so please make sure you do that. And second, please don't click off of this video. We need you to watch, so we get the watch time and subscribers, so stick around, and every little bit of support helps. 5 tips that I wish I knew as a beginner. So with all that said, here are the 5 things that worked for me when I first started lifting weights, getting into shape. Number 1, protein core meals. Early on, I picked up a copy of the Arnold Schwarzenegger Encyclopedia for Bodybuilding. While it's an older book, it had some invaluable advice. Arnold emphasized eating protein, and I took it to heart. Every meal I had, I became centered around protein. Whether I was trying to lose fat or gain muscle, the core protein of each meal stayed constant. And when I was in fat loss phase, I reduced the carbs and the fats. When I was bulking, I'd increase the carbs and fats, but kept protein the same. See, this focus on protein with 4 or 5 evenly spaced out meals per day helped me to make the most progress. So from day one, I learned that protein-centered diets are essential, whether you're a beginner or an advanced bodybuilder. The second thing here is have 4 to 6 meals per day. So that's another game changer. And when I was adopting a consistent eating pattern early on, I was inspired by reading the different magazines that were out back in the day, and these were essential for the knowledge that I was to get. At first, some of my meals were protein shakes, and others were whole food meals, but the common thread was consistently eating 3 to 5 meals. I experienced 6 or 7 sometimes, but 4 to 5 meals worked best for me. This consistently helped me to gain lean mass all year round, and I was able to get up to 245 pounds at about the age of 22. Yes, drug-free. And the key takeaway here is consistency, regular protein, and that is key to the early on time in your bodybuilding and fitness journey. You also, number 3, must have healthy meals. One of the biggest challenges I faced as a beginning fitness enthusiast was finding healthy, convenient foods. I didn't have the time to meal prep, especially when I was in college. I needed practical options. Making sandwiches, whole grain breads and veggies, lean roast beef, turkey worked perfectly. I had packed them into a cooler and would take them to class and eat between the lectures. I would go and sit in the staircases, sit in the hallway, wherever it was. And it wasn't the most glamorous meal prep, but it helped me hit the macros and stay on track. The key takeaway is to focus on eating healthy foods that are easy to prepare, and don't stress about perfection. If you can't hit your targets with simple meals, that's great. There's no need to overcomplicate things at the start. Ease into the restrictive dieting. As a beginner, I saw many people rush into restrictive diets, eating 5 meals of chicken, broccoli, rice from the get-go, while others, were a little bit loose. I knew that wouldn't work for me, so I would have quickly burned out on that approach. Many people do. Instead, I made sure that my meals were sustainable. When dieting for muscle gain, I ate the foods I liked. When dieting for fat loss, I still enjoyed the variety of foods, but focused on controlling the portions without getting too restrictive. you'll see some of the bodybuilders today and fitness enthusiasts, they'll enjoy foods like burritos, chocolate milk, and they still hit their protein targets. Now, that's the key to making something sustainable long term, is doing something that you enjoy, incorporating things that you enjoy, and don't rush into being restrictive with the meals. Don't rush into strict diets. That's number 5. Don't rush into a strict diet and training regimen combined, actually. The focus on the basics first. Eating enough protein, consuming enough calories, and lifting consistently while relatively healthy foods is about 85% of your progress. As you advance, you can start to add more specificity to your diet and training, and please do not overcomplicate things early on. I've met many young weightlifters who burn out in their early 20s because they rushed into the machine lifestyle, but always I knew that I wanted to go for the long haul as a more sustainable approach, and that turned out to be very, very helpful. In the beginning, I didn't obsess over every little gram, macro. I just paid attention to the basics: protein, calories, overall food quality. And as I gained more experience, I refined the approach, but I didn't get too caught up in the details right away. Consistency was actually more important. My final thoughts here are just start simple, stay consistent. 5 tips, once again: protein are the core at your meal. Always have protein as the core in your meal and build a diet around it. 2, meal consistency. Aim for 4 to 6 meals per day, spaced out every 3 to 5 hours. 3, convenience. Make them easy to prepare, nutrient-dense meals that fit your schedule. And 4, ease into restrictive dieting. Don't jump straight into a rigid bodybuilding diet. Making sure it's sustainable and enjoyable. And focus on the basics at first. And then when you're ready for more specificity, jump into that later. So just remember, 85% of your progress comes from consistency in your eating enough protein and calories and lifting regularly with relatively healthy foods. Don't overthink it. Stay patient and enjoy the journey. As you get more experienced, you could dial in on your approach. It's all about finding a balance that works for you and that will keep you in the game for the long haul. Lastly, a key lesson here. One of the challenges that I faced in my bodybuilding journey was hunger, particularly when dieting for fat loss. The more tasty the food was that I ate, the more I craved. So this cycle actually made it harder to stick to the calorie deficit. I eventually came across the concept of food palatability. So this was introduced by an expert, and this theory suggests that the more flavorful the food is, the more that you'll crave it. So to combat this, I started eating simpler, less flavorful meals during my cutting phases. And it wasn't glamorous, but it worked. So the key is by eating less tasty food, and then you can reduce your cravings and make dieting much easier. It will take some time to get through that first phase of that, but it sticks, and when it sticks, it's worth it. So when you're dieting, when you are dieting, it might feel like dieting, but when you're dieting, stick to simpler, high volume, high fiber foods with minimal flavoring. This way the food becomes more like a mechanical process and hunger is less of an issue, and you could make progress with less stress. If you need help structuring your diet, I highly recommend clicking the link in my bio and description. I have a fantastic tool. It could be personalized advice, even through Zoom calls, and more. So I hope this helps you in your journey. If not, at least maybe my voice gave you a laugh. But remember, the key is consistency and patience and finding what works for you. See you next time. Thanks for watching.